Yo, I just got off my shift as a researcher at the Squid Gene Mutation Science Department, and today I'm talking about something very important. There are some motorcycles that turn as many heads as Connor's mom at his 13th birthday pool party. These bikes are kind of like forbidden fruit, looking so good that you'd sell your soul just to own one. But the problem with these machines is that even though they have infinite aura and riz, as the teenagers tell me, is that they're often torturous to ride. Today we're diving into that cruel trick the motorcycle industry loves to play and talking about motorcycles that seduce you with looks and then punish you for falling in love with them. This is the list of the top 7 cool looking bikes that are actually terrible to ride. Let's get into it. On the surface, bobbers are undeniably cool looking. They're the perfect bike for the rebel without a cause who is just too cool for school. They're low-slung, blacked out, minimalist, and just dripping with a bad boy attitude. Do you hate your stepdad? Get a bobber. Hate your boss that denied your raise but keeps calling you after hours? Get a bobber. You roll up to a gas station on a custom Honda bobber, and even Harley riders give you the nod of respect and say, "That thing looks pretty darn nice for being a Chinese rice burner. How much torque you got?" But no matter how cool they look, they're honestly kind of horrible to ride for anything longer than a short weekend cruise. Forward foot controls mean your legs are kicked out like you're on a lazy boy. The low-slung handlebars mean you're hunched over like the homeless guy looking for cigarette butts outside the bar on a Saturday night. And those fat front tires, it's great if you want to feel like you're riding your motorcycle into quicksand. Remember when you were a kid and falling into quicksand was a legitimate fear? I still think about that sometimes. I'm afraid of it. But that's just what being a kid was like. You're too young to experience the crippling fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of public speaking, the fear that you'll never live up to other people's expectations, the fear of ending up all alone, living in a one-bedroom apartment, damned to eat frozen lasagna and watch game show reruns every day until you expire. Nope, kids aren't afraid of that, just quicksand. Yeah, the existential dread, I don't think that's something they worry about as much. The Yamaha R6 is the poster child of teenage sport bike wet dreams. It's got razor-sharp fairings of Yamaha's R-Bike. The inline 4 has a screaming 16,000 RPM redline, just pure race bike DNA. It's the bike you put on your wall when you were 12, alongside the Lamborghini poster you got at the book fair. But unlike buying an Italian supercar, R6 ownership is far more attainable. So for the double-digit IQ inline 4 squid-loving kids who are still stuck in the book fair days when they were 11 years old, this is perfect for you. At least it was before all those R6 owners took up residence in Fantasyland and started listing them for sale for like $15,000 on Marketplace. Maybe those outrageous prices are actually a good thing, working to keep your life in balance. Because as cool and important as the R6 is to race history, it just simply sucks to ride on the street. It does. It's like using an F1 car to go grocery shopping. And no matter how badly you want to impress all the rich suburban housewives who love F1, it would be an incredibly impractical choice. The R6 has no low-end torque whatsoever, so every red light is a chore. Getting into the power band requires you to wind up the engine like a little toy car, and I don't know about you, but having to wind this runty 4-cylinder to 12,000 RPM to get a measly 45 foot-pounds of torque is not my idea of a good time. And let's not forget about the ergonomics. Aggressive, committed, alien to the casual rider, with your hands low and your feet high, your wrist will cry, your back will beg for mercy, your knees might even be able to write a formal resignation letter to the rest of your body and just yeet themselves straight from your flesh prison. The BMW R NineT is a pretty stylish bike if you're a hipster who wears suspenders and a fedora to the gastropub. Just kidding, it's not like 2010 anymore. Those hipster jokes may not even be relevant anymore. Am I just an out-of-date unk? Do I not know what's going on? Am I losing all social cachet and relevancy? Leave me a comment down below. Jokes aside, it's not a bad bike to look at. It's slick, classic, and confident in its quirkiness. I mean, look at those cylinders hanging out horizontally from the boxer engine. You gotta be pretty secure in your bustiness to be riding around with those jugs out in the open like that. Put them hogs away, you know what I'm saying? It's certainly a unique bike with its retro styling. oddball engine, premium components, and that BMW brand cachet that so many riders seem to gush all over. But once you get past the styling, you'll realize that this bike is mostly a glorified fashion statement, more so than a well-handling motorcycle. It's heavy. The engine has lots of sideways torque reaction thanks to the Boxster layout, making it feel surprisingly awkward for a modern bike. You ever think about the fact that there's no Boxster engines in any other manufacturer's lineup? Did you ever stop to think about why that is? Well, they made the Boxster because they needed air to literally go to the heads of the engine whenever you're going down the road before they had liquid cooling. This engine layout doesn't make any goddamn sense. The way an engine affects the behavior of a motorcycle, you really become one of those you either get it or you don't type of motorcycles. Just being totally honest with you guys, I fall into the latter camp, as you can tell. I don't get it. And when it comes to value for money, you can get a much more compliant motorcycle that also looks cool and vintage. I mean, Janus is ready to sell you a motorcycle ready and hot and willing for you with a master pinstriper perfectly adorning it. I hear they're very safe. You ever heard of a little bike called a Triumph Bonneville, by the way? I mean, come on, don't overcomplicate an obvious decision here. No one is denying that a clean, professionally done cafe racer build can be very striking. You've got a CB750 with all the cafe racer accoutrement, sleek tail section, clip-ons, incredibly tidied wiring, and that classic cafe racer stance. It's total eye candy. But once you log off Instagram and you actually ride one of these things, you'll be able to quickly find out how abstract and unintuitive they are, no matter how hard you try. Cafe racers are pretty similar in their ethos to other custom bike builds, like choppers or big wheel baggers, which is ironic because of the name racer in the name. But more often than not, they're not much more than just show bikes, designed to look cool and show off the skills of the creator, and that's totally fine. There's something special about that. But to believe that they ride or behave like a modern motorcycle would be utterly foolish. The engines are underpowered, the brakes feel like they're from the 1970s because, they are, and the suspension geometry is all out of whack, modified to fit the look of a cafe racer without any consideration of how the bike actually handles, kind of like a Janus. If the well-made cafe racers are bad to ride, the crusty backyard builds made by an overzealous teenager with an angle grinder are practically a crime against humanity. They ride like crap, and they also look crazy. Skateboard deck for a seat? How much Trailer Park Reggie did you have to smoke before you thought that was a good idea? The Ducati 916 and the family of superbikes that came after it, including the 996 and the 998, they're the definition of a toxic relationship. I have a soft spot for these. They're very cool to look at, but I gotta be honest with you guys. Riding an older Ducati Superbike is like dating a model with a borderline personality disorder who also happens to need severe medical attention every other week. The Ducati 916 is without a doubt one of the most beautiful motorcycles ever built. It's been the North Star of motorcycle design for 30 years. It's got the twin headlights, the undertail exhaust, the single-sided swing arm. It's not just a motorcycle, it's a testament to mechanical sex appeal. I'm not saying I've explored it, but somewhere on the internet there is definitely some twisted 916 romance fanfiction out there. Look it up. Beyond being admired, these bikes were meant to go fast and win races. They're not designed to commute, to relax, or satisfy your naive expectation for the smallest semblance of comfort. The ergonomics are insane. The seat is a sliver of vinyl over a cinder block. The rear cylinder sits right under your seat and feels like you accidentally closed your sack in a pizza oven. If you have to idle in traffic for more than a minute, you feel like you're riding Satan's hobby horse in hell. Maintenance is frequent and expensive, and if you don't do it by the book, the bike will literally explode. If you're into masochism, it will be less expensive to have a dominatrix on retainer rather than own an Italian superbike. The Harley Sportster has the aesthetic evoking classic Americana down to a science. Low stance, air-cooled V-twin engine, peanut tank. The only thing that can make a Sportster more American is if it had $100,000 in student loans or medical debt. It's the kind of bike that people who don't ride motorcycles think of when they imagine a motorcycle. They look cool in a timeless way that boomers at the gas station love to comment on. But riding one just kind of sucks. The suspension might as well not exist, they're heavier than a Japanese hatchback, and they're reluctant to do anything other than go in a straight line. And with how underpowered the engine is in combination with the 5-speed gearbox, they barely even want to do that. The vibrations the bike produces are insane. Unless you're in a very specific and very small portion of the rev range, it feels like you're either redlining the engine or lugging it. It never feels like it's happy, and it still runs all these years later. Sportsters come in all shapes and sizes of the last 50 years, or is it 100? I can't even keep track of how long this bike was made for. Its presence feels eternal. No matter what engine size, year, or trim configuration, they're all ergonomically awkward in their own way. Forward controls with low handlebar, mid controls with ape hangers, they are a motorcycle that punishes you by burning your boot on the exhaust if you try to ride it like any other bike. The Honda Motocompo is possibly the cutest little bike ever created. It might not be a fully fledged motorcycle, but it's certainly some alien version of one. And it's not just a little scooter either, it's a two-stroke lunchbox that can fold up small enough to practically fit into a backpack. It looks like some sort of character from a kind of cutesy anime series. Maybe it's the type of bike a Hello Kitty thing would ride. They were designed to fit into the back of a Japanese Honda City hatchback so businessmen could drive their car into dense cities, then unfold the Motocompo and ride away the rest of the way. They're super silly little bikes that have become well beloved and have become incredibly popular among collectors. But in reality, they're almost completely unrideable. This thing has like 2.5 horsepower, so it makes about a quarter of the power a Grom makes. I thought this thing was a two-strokes. Two-strokes are for mixing gas and tapping ass, baby! Although, to be honest, I don't know if I'd want a Motocompo with like 12 horsepower. That sounds like a death trap. Still safer than a Janus. The wheels and tires on a Motocompo are the size of two bagels. It's rocking a hardtail setup with no suspension, just like a wicked chopper. The bike might have been designed for Japanese businessmen, but here in the States, anyone larger than a third grader is gonna have a tough time fitting on it. If we even just look at a hill, the bike just gives up and dies. Let's get it up the hill, because I don't think it's not gonna make it up the hill. It looks like what they thought personal mobility would be like in the future in 1981. But actually riding it feels like a punishment that should be put on weebs who spend too much time in their goon cave wasting money on gacha games. Yeah, didn't think I knew what that was, did you? I know everything. Thank you guys for making it all the way to the end of the video. What do you think about bikes like this? Is it worth suffering to have the best looking motorcycle around? Or have you become a Sigma lone wolf ADV dad who prioritizes comfort and torque instead of style and top speed? As always, let me know what you think. Maybe we have to do a video that is the opposite. Maybe bikes that are ugly as sin, but really good to ride. There's certainly a joke about your mom in there somewhere, but I will abstain for the end of the video. Thanks again for watching. I will catch you later. Fact: the original and still best known incarnation of Scooby-Doo, made in 1969 and 1970, surprisingly only lasted 25 episodes. Goodbye.